This is Black Views, bringing you the Black News. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. B1 family, this is Black Views, Freeman, Black Commentary. Oh, I got a good one for you today. But before we do that, let's give thanks to the Most High. Let's pray that the Lord put goodness in our hearts and goodness in our minds. That's what I'm talking about. Family forever. FBA. Foundational Black American. You want to be us, but you can't be us, and you can't beat us. Because you not like us. And don't you ever forget it. All right, all right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Black Commentary, Black Views. So today, I believe this is a special one for you. I have Professor Black. Today he will be talking about the effects of the election and how black women will put in the trick bag. So without further ado, let's get to it. I will also want to say fair use. I also want to give props to Professor Black. And here we go.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. You can tell that the white media hasn't got any new plays in the playbook. They just do the same thing, only more of it.
And before I go forward with this, I want to let you know that Professor Black is like the other great ones, like Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black. You know, I kind of look at these guys. I kind of look up to them because I appreciate what they bring to us. This guy right here in a particular could be a person that's sitting in an office getting paid $200,000-$300,000 a year and minding his goddamn business, but he decides that he wants to teach the masses. He wants to teach his own people. He wants to teach FBA. So let's get to it. This is Professor Black.
I told you that after this election, particularly the dynamic of black men and black women standing together on business this time around, they were going to be resorting to try to reinforce the old gender war, see if they can go ahead and get that old cow to walk a few more steps. After the 2024 election, we got the white media admitting black women are feeling betrayed. Well, finally, the white media is admitting that the Democrats haven't offered black women anything, and that's why they turned away. Oh, let's not stall here. AP, the Aryan propagandists, are saying that black women are feeling betrayed because Trump got more minority support this election than he did last time.
So this is AP. This is AP putting out propaganda, telling you how black women feel. Like they really know all the black women.
Now, the entire point of this so-called article is to push the idea that only black women have remained true to democracy in America, and black women were the only ones who actually made sure that they voted to uphold American freedom and didn't give in to the fascistic orange man. And that's pretty much the gist of this entire propaganda piece. They don't even bother to mention the fact that Kamala Harris wasn't offering black women anything. You see, the real story behind how black women feel betrayed is that they saw through the Kamala Harris deception. Black female voter turnout was lower for Kamala than it was for Hillary. See, this is what happens when a so-called media organization only talks to black people who are bootlicks and shills on white power's payroll. Now, the AP piece basically says that Kamala's defeat was America making a...
And I swear to you, that's basically what the Democratic Party is. Shills and people that are in it for themselves, and they will speak rhetoric as if they're looking out for foundational black Americans, and then use black women to drive the wedge between the families. And as you can see, what do you get? Abortion.
Statement about black women in specific. They wanted to hammer that point, and they're not the only ones, but this is a good case study in this particular talking point. The 2024 election, well, all you black women, you need to stay invested with the Democrats because this election was America saying they don't want black women to be president. They
So instead of talking about why the voter did not want to vote Democrat, they want to blame it on, like, they didn't want to do it because of black women. So you see how they constantly play us into this, and there's no Democratic politician that will speak up, that will say anything, that will talk about. When you look at Trump, Trump is the only one that says fake news.
can't say black people in general because 8 years ago there was a biracial bootlick in the White House, and the point of this piece is to begin a steady drumbeat meant to get black women back on the treadmill. They are just so desperate to try to make black women in particular feel like Kamala losing.
And you gotta wonder, like, black men don't be falling for this shit. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're not delusional to the problems that we have. We understand there's some things that are not right, but they keep playing it. They keep going after, our counterparts and trying to split that wedge. And I mean, this is a shame. This is news media. This is like, it seems like, we're only 13% of the people in this country. If you talk about black men, that breaks it down to about 6%. And then if you talk about straight black men, now you're talking about what? Probably another 4%. And then you talk about incarcerated black men, that comes down to about 2%. 2% of the American population are straight black men. I didn't even split that one up. But that makes it even more a smaller group. So they're working at it until we're all dissolved.
Somehow is a loss for them as a group when Kamala Harris failed to prove that she even has black ancestry. And then you see some of the usual suspects mentioned in this propaganda piece, like Black Voters Matter, one of these sock puppet groups funded by white donors. That's the dark money you keep hearing about.
Yeah, same as the Black Lives Matter. Now somebody out here has Black Voters Matter. Latasha Brown. Let's think about this for a second. We're talking about, these are shills. These are people that are getting paid millions of dollars, basically, just to mislead us. And that's what it is. And this is a woman here.
Front woman for this group is Latasha Brown, and it seems the black voter boycott of 2024 broke her. Oh, when bootlicking goes wrong, this election absolutely broke her. This is one of those main shills, along with She the People and a couple of others who have been out there trying to sell the soap that black women need to divest themselves politically from all of this rabble-rousing that black men have done. Instead, the opposite happened. It blew up in her face. The black vote solidifying its support behind a policy of disengagement, this broke her back, literally. The AP writes that, quote, politically engaged black women said they don't plan to continue positioning themselves in the vertebrae of the backbone of America's democracy. Now, previously, the white media had been using another phrase altogether, saying that black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. Remember that one? They were saying that one for years. Well, the white media decided to pile the phony praise on even higher this time, now saying that black women are the backbone of American democracy. Now, family, how many times do I have to say it? Dr. John Henrik Clarke said it.
It's the same playbook. They're continually trying to split up the nuclear family, especially the black nuclear family. They're continuing the same process. So, see, even though they lost the election, they're still going with the same agenda, which tells me that's pretty much what their plan is as a party, period, is to split black families up. There's nothing for black men. There is nothing. You think about all the congressmen, black congressmen that are there, they have nothing to say about any program to assist black men and being better. Like they assist foreigners. Like they assist illegals that come over. Why can't they assist young black men that are having problems that may come from troubled homes? Why isn't there a program for that? And why isn't there black politicians to push that? Because every black politician is paid for. That's why, it's simply put. They're all paid for. So it's no use to even write them a letter, to give them a call, because you won't get one back. And that's what we're down to. That's why I say we're going to make moves based on our decision, especially until we get our money together to where we can co-sponsor someone to basically to do what we ask. Or maybe we have a candidate that we invest in, and that candidate can be in a cabinet somewhere. You see, so we got to start. We got to start small. Like we got to start with conditioning our minds. I was listening to Tariq Nasheed, and there was a Pan African on there, and they kept saying like, well, what's all this for? What are you doing? What we're doing is we're taking our minds into our everyday worlds, and we're reacting on to things differently. We're reacting to things smarter. So every day that we go out in the world, our minds are being reconditioned. Our minds are being loaded with facts and knowledge. So now we make better decisions. That is exactly how you make change. Each individual must make a change in their own lives. I mean, yes, we can get out here. There's a lot of things that we can do. But we have to start somewhere. And we can't allow people to indicate to us what's progress and what isn't, because they ain't putting no money in the pot. Let's move on.
This country has never had democracy for a single moment of its entire existence. Black people, that means black men and women, have been categorically, systematically excluded from being full or even partial participants in the processes and prosperity of the country that we built. American democracy is an oxymoron. It's a contradiction in terms. And claiming that black people of any segment are the backbone of this democracy, how can you be the backbone of something that doesn't exist?
Absolutely. So when you have the AP go out and say things like this is straight up lies, and this, what it does? it angers our counterparts, the oppressors. It angers them. When I say anger them, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the low lives, the poor ones, the ones that are not very knowledgeable, that have, even the ones with education is stupid too, because they'll feed into this, that somehow we're getting attention. Somehow we're getting benefits because someone got on AP and said that black people are the backbone. And so just like a child who's not getting attention from a parent, that is exactly how a low level, low IQ oppressor thinks. That's where a lot of this insecurity comes from. It started with the penis, and it goes right on into propaganda.
Now, whenever you see the white media ego stroking like this, that's 3 red flags that the manipulation is on full. It also means that they're worried. How can you be the backbone of a democracy that you've never experienced? But this is how propaganda works. It's like a con man. The con man's greatest asset is the person they're trying to con. The best way to con somebody is to let them con themselves. That's what's going on here. And this Latasha Brown woman saying that America is going to have to save herself. She speaks very lovingly about a country that hasn't produced anything for black people, black men, or black women. Amazing. That's what happens, though, when you become one of these consultants. When you're on the take, what happens is you start talking just like these white supremacists do. Malcolm talked about that. He said you can tell when you're dealing with yourself a house Negro because they keep using we in places that doesn't make any sense for a black person to be using that phrase, we. Talking about things that ain't got nothing to do with black people. America is going to have to save herself. Oh, she loves America so much, don't she? Keep in mind, these were the same front women who white power employed to say that abortion was the biggest issue facing black America and that black women cared about abortion more than anything else. This is what groups like Black Voters Matter were saying. Look back in the archives of this very YouTube channel. I pointed out how that's what they had there.
So remember I told you about the Latasha chick, right? She creates this, and then they get on national television, and then they say abortion is what matters to black women. It's not black women saying it. It's someone that speaks for black women that gets that plug-in time to get on national television. But because we have new black media, grassroots, that are able to use tools to get the word out, things are changing. People are no longer looking at news just to watch people lie. When they live in those communities and they know that's not happening. That's not what's happening. So let's move forward.
People saying, especially with saying black men should be caring about abortion. Abortion isn't just a black women's issue. It's an issue of health care for the black community. Yeah, because how many black men are out there right now, like these Pookies and Ray Rays, saying, you know what, it'd be a good idea to make sure that my woman gets sent to the abortion mill if she gets knocked up. The black community is trying to have more babies, not less. And then, even in this AP piece, they had to mention, just as a throwaway, that there were black women who were actually saying that the economy was what mattered. Yeah, they know all about Trump and his racist antics, but how...
And just think about this for a second. Like, they're sending out the message that basically black women should have abortions. This is the message they're sending out. Meanwhile, there's a whole class of people that are coming in, and their children are getting WIC. You know, they're getting all type of funding. They're getting everything to stabilize their families. And black people are just motionless. It's just more domination and propaganda.
In the world can you have a full head of steam about the orange man and fascism when you don't even have the ability to buy groceries or to put gasoline in your car? Talking about how Donald Trump's going to ruin America and turn America into some sort of dystopian nightmare, that rings hollow when you're already living a nightmare. That's the reality that Kamala Harris didn't want to admit to. That's the betrayal that a large number of black women were feeling. I reposted The Deadly Deception of Kamala Harris a couple of days ago, not just because I had made a promise that I would repost it, but also because it's something of a time capsule. It was made 7 years ago, and the political discourse within the black community was different 7 years ago than it is today. I was very strict about my message where black women are concerned because while we have a lot of rock-solid sisters here, a majority in fact, 7 years ago, we had a lot of the shea butter divester dead-enders who were still trying to keep their putrid little scheme going a little while longer, and they were attacking our channels and spamming our social media any time that somebody called out one of these black female bootlicks who was off code. You see, the shea butter crowd, they thought that by doing this, carpet bombing us with nonsense and gibberish, that this would give them immunity to be off code without criticism or critique, because that's what it's about to them. We had a big problem with those folks, so yes, we had to make it clear that when it comes to checking these shea butter bootlicks, the ski-wee contingent, black women are the ones who can be most effective at this. Black women being the ones who actually take the lead on checking these black female bootlicks, that's something the white media was counting on never happening. They figured to themselves that after 40...
And you know, what really gets me is, you know, these activists and these pundits that get on here and they speak about women's rights, and they have nothing, not a plan in hell to assist black women with their children. For all the black women that choose not to be in a relationship with their men and all these type of things that go on, there's no remedies for families, for black women. There's no, the only thing there is talk and abortion. Talk and abortion. And I just kind of feel that is just, I mean, what is that? That these are the only options that you have to downgrade the black man and offer abortion to black women. But grassroots black women didn't fall for that shit.
Plus years of Oprahganda and sending out Donna Brazile and then later on Michelle Obama and others, that this basically made it where black women were feeling the sister girl routine. That's what they did it for. They always trot that one out. Well, it fell flat this time, to the point that they're terrified to even admit it. They can't. This is the sum of all fears. Now, after 2016 and the 2024 elections, it may seem as if what I'm talking about now was obvious, that black women were definitely going to be stepping forward, and inside of our particular sphere, that's true. But remember, when we talk about things like tipping points and critical mass, we're talking about reaching people who are not in our immediate sphere. We're talking about getting a larger number of people outside of our immediate circle on board. And that's what the message is for. That's what I was talking about in 2017 when I had those words for black women. Obviously, you're not going to preach to the choir here. I'm talking about the ones who actually were hearing the message, and we see that that's exactly how it played out. White supremacy believes in playing chess, not checkers, and that being the case, we have to make sure that we have them checkmated before the game even begins. That's the reason why the message was said the way that it was. This is important, because it's not some victimless crime when people like Vivica Fox get out there saying that black women are not part of the black community. That's nothing but straight up division, full stop. Because she said absolutely nothing about group economics. In fact, she didn't even say anything about black women in economics, and certainly nothing about reparations. All she was doing was being gung-ho for Biden originally, and when Kamala stepped in, she dropped her empty, pathetic demands and was telling everybody they need to vote for Kamala Harris because she's going to do things, even though Vivica Fox couldn't tell anyone what Kamala had done in her 4 years as vice president.
That's another one, Vivica Fox. You know, when the money right, you know, and and the pressure's on, you know, they want to stay on TV. They want to stay relevant. They want to be friendly to the establishment. So they will go out and they'll lie. And they'll mislead other black women and having them hate their own lives.
Why does she think that a ploy like that would work? It's because the black community as a group has pretty much conditioned people to believe that we will actually get jolly in the behind when there's nothing to be getting happy about. Now, this AP article tries to make it seem that black women have taken all the blows to push American society forward. Never mind the fact that black men were also there. But you know who wasn't there? The Democrats.
So you see how they like to extract this out of the whole equation and just say black women. But it's so disrespectful when you think about it. And it puts a mental note that black men are not with black women. I think that's crazy. I think that's insane. And the only people out here that feel that this way are people that have problems with men, that they can't talk to men, don't know how to have a relationship with men, and so therefore they become haters of men and everything that men produce. And so this is who the Democratic Party reached out to. Man hating women and men that like men.
The article doesn't even mention. Democrats were backing everything and everyone except the black community. So when black women were taking the billy clubs of all of these racist cops in the 60s, and when black women have been the ones dying from the maternal mortality rate, and when black women have found themselves being murdered by the police, where the hell have the Democrats been at?
So help me understand, if you praising, you know, the black women for these things, then why isn't what the black women produce just as precious as she is? She produces little black girls and little black boys. So why aren't they just as precious as the voter that you're trying to finagle the vote from and say, you know, all these things for women, but women are producers, like men are producers actually, but women produce children. The world, the world. If all women just fell off the earth right now, there'll be no way we can reproduce. So how can you talk about black women and not talk about her and not talk about the growth of her children? And the bad part is because you have other man hating women out here. They just sell this. They don't care. They'll sell this to you. It's about their own personal feelings. I keep telling you, that's why we can't vote emotionally in these elections. We can't vote emotionally. We have to vote for what is right, even if it goes against us. Because if we're not doing right, what good are you?
Usually it's Democrat politicians who are the mayors of these cities where black people are being murdered and black women are getting gunned down. And it's also Democrat mayors who are appointing these racist police chiefs who are making sure these thugs and these race soldiers get away with murder. Now, the AP article ends with a quote from a therapist who says that the nation needs to understand the consequences of not standing in solidarity with black women. Again, the person who wasn't standing in solidarity with black women was the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris. This is the white media putting on display, telegraphing what it is they intend to do next, trying to put a spin on black women's involvement in the 2024 election so they can reinvent reality. Black women put their foot down and made it clear, if you're not stepping forward with tangibles, you can't have our support.
And so right there, that's where I'll leave it for right now. What I recommend that you do is go to Professor Black's YouTube page and check out his material. Awesome material. In fact, I mean, a lot of the knowledge that I have, that I've had from life, but I've also had the opportunity to hear Professor Black on particular issues that he has researched, and he's able um, to give the information to the layman. You understand? I mean, and that's why I appreciate, because I know for a fact there's so many articles and things like that that I don't read that I should read. But a brother like this, I mean, he's into it. The professor is a professor. Believe me when I tell you this. And so I really appreciate the work he allowed me to use today. Um, I'm also gonna say fair use, fair use. All props to Professor Black. Thank you, sir. And what I want to say is that right now, the Democrats don't have anything. All they have is media. Okay, and that media will continue to spin that propaganda. They love the fact that we have short memories, because think about it, you have 4 seasons, you have sports, you have shows, you have all these different things that try that take up your mental capacity. Your job, the demand on your job, the stress of bills, these type of things keeps you from focusing. So when things like this occur, our politicians, they count on the fact that you're not going to remember, and that you're going to vote for black no matter who. You're going to vote blue no matter who. That this is what they count on, for the mere fact that you work every day. You out here hustling to pay your bills. You out here trying to make ends meet, because nobody wants to be out in the street. And some people have more stress than others. And if they have time to stress out, if they have time to stress out about certain things, they don't have time to focus. And so that's why it's so important for a person like, Professor Black, Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black, these brothers being dedicated to the work that they do, that you can sit back and listen, and you can verify everything they saying. Because when I sometimes I sit and I listen, I'll go back and Google it, and boom, pop right up, sure enough. And this is what I'm talking about. You know, when you talk about black commentary and you talk about journalism, we have to be right on. We don't have time to just be out here playing games and saying anything to get clicks and likes. We have to say the truth. If I stay with 500 subscribers, it is what it is. I'll just stay with 500 subscribers, because I'm not going to change my tune to alter the story. And not only that, as black foundational black Americans, um, it's a process that we have to go through, because all of us don't even know we're foundational black Americans yet. A lot of us are still, we're still on the African American. But remember, before African American, which was in 1988, we were black. So it still takes time to move over. We don't have a $1 billion media conglomerate so that every kid knows that we're all foundational black Americans. We don't have that. So little by little, we start to wake up. And as we start to wake up, we count on our experiences to bring our likeness. What I'm saying is, there's no leader, there's no one guy, but we all experience things that bring us together. And so some things are common sense. And so when we get on here and people do podcasts and they do commentary, a lot of people are telling things that are going on in their neck of the woods. And like I always say, if you're a foundational black American, you need to have, hey, make you a channel and talk about what's going on in your neck of the woods, because there are people that live there going through the same thing, and they have conditioned themselves to deal with the abuse and not even realizing that it's wrong. I'm serious. I'm serious, because they're so tied into making ends meet and things like that it just distracts them. So I'm gonna leave it at this today. And I want to say thank you so much. I also want to say thank you to those that were very, they were very gracious in their donations with the Cash App. And I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate what you do. That allows me to get better at what I do. I also want to say like, also subscribe. Make sure you comment. I do realize people not gonna comment because there are a lot of people that's listening that are actually anti-black. So hey, all I got for you is fire for your ass. Just to let you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it go with that. This is Black Views, bringing you the Black news. Thank you and have a great day. Don't forget that cash app.